On St. Helena Island, October 11, 2025, Willie's Bar and Grill buzzed with excitement and anticipation. The air was thick with the promise of a memorable evening as the sun dipped below the horizon and the island came alive. The newly renovated bar was hosting a Battery Creek High School alumni party, drawing hundreds from across generations. Old classmates, teachers, and friends gathered under one roof, eager to reconnect and celebrate their shared past. Laughter, music, and the warmth of old friendships filled the air, a true celebration of community spirit. The sound of clinking glasses and joyful cheers echoed through the night, as stories from years gone by were retold with fresh enthusiasm. Security was present, and the night felt safe, a testament to the island's close-knit bonds. The sense of trust and familiarity was palpable, with everyone looking out for one another. St. Helena, known for its Gullah Geechee heritage and deep family ties, was alive with joy and nostalgia. The celebration honored not just the school, but the unique culture and history that shaped the island's identity. The event was more than a party, it was a reunion, a reminder of shared roots and enduring connections. Generations mingled, bridging gaps and strengthening the bonds that held the community together. As the evening wore on, the sense of unity grew stronger, with friends reminiscing and making new memories. The atmosphere was electric, filled with hope and the comfort of belonging. The bar and its outdoor spaces overflowed with happiness, the community's resilience and togetherness on full display. Dancing, laughter, and heartfelt conversations continued late into the night, but as midnight passed, an unthinkable act was about to shatter the peace. The festive mood would soon give way to confusion and fear. No one could have foreseen that this night of celebration would become a moment of tragedy. In an instant, everything changed, and the community's joy turned to disbelief. The joy of the evening would soon be replaced by fear and heartbreak. Friends and families clung to each other, searching for comfort in the chaos. The island's cherished sense of safety was about to be lost in a single devastating instant. The streets that once echoed with laughter now stood silent, marked by uncertainty. This was supposed to be a night to remember for all the right reasons, a celebration of unity, heritage, and hope for the future. Instead, it would become a dark chapter in St. Helena's history, forever changing the lives of everyone who was there that night. Around 1 a.m., the party's energy was shattered by a sudden burst of gunfire outside the bar. The joyous atmosphere turned into one of sheer terror in an instant. Screams replaced music as panic swept through the crowd. People who were dancing moments ago were now scrambling for their lives. Partygoers scrambled for cover, some rushing inside, others fleeing into the night. The scene was chaotic and terrifying. The parking lot became a scene of chaos, with people falling, some struck by bullets, others trampled in the desperate rush to escape. Belongings were scattered everywhere. Willie, the bar's owner, watched in horror as his dream of a safe community space turned into a nightmare. His disbelief was palpable. Sirens pierced the night, but for those caught in the violence, help felt impossibly far away. The wait for rescue seemed endless. The shooting was swift, but its impact was devastating. The community was left reeling from the sudden violence. When the gunfire stopped, the true scale of the tragedy emerged. The scene was one of heartbreak and devastation. 4 people lay dead, including a security guard hired to protect the event. The loss was profound. At least 20 others were injured, some critically. The emergency services worked tirelessly to tend to the wounded. The alumni reunion had become a mass casualty event, leaving the community in shock. The sense of loss was overwhelming. In moments, celebration had turned to terror. The remnants of the party were a stark contrast to the night's tragic events. First responders arrived to a scene of chaos, terrified people, wounded victims, and a community in shock. Paramedics worked urgently, performing CPR and stabilizing the injured under flashing emergency lights. Ambulances lined the street, rushing the most critical patients to nearby hospitals. Friends and family drove others, desperate for help. Law enforcement quickly secured the area, closing off Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and beginning the painstaking process of gathering evidence. Witnesses, still in shock, tried to recount what they'd seen. The night's horror marked the beginning of a long search for answers and justice. For first responders, the work was just beginning. As dawn broke, the weight of the tragedy settled over St. Helena Island, casting a heavy shadow across the peaceful community. The morning air felt different, still and somber, as if the island itself was holding its breath. News spread quickly, bringing disbelief and sorrow to every corner of the community. Conversations were hushed, and faces reflected shock and heartbreak as the reality of what had happened began to sink in. Families faced the unthinkable, loved ones lost or fighting for their lives. Homes that once echoed with laughter now fell silent, filled with tears and unanswered questions. The island, known for peace and unity, was now marked by senseless violence. Familiar streets were lined with police tape, and a sense of safety was suddenly shattered. Churches filled with prayers and tears as the community mourned together. People gathered in sacred spaces, seeking comfort and strength in shared faith and togetherness. Battery Creek High School, once the heart of the celebration, became a place of grief. The halls were quiet, and the flag flew at half-mast in honor of those lost. Grief counselors were called in to help students and staff process the loss. Support groups formed, offering a safe space to share memories and begin to heal. Makeshift memorials appeared, neighbors offered support, and the community leaned on each other. Flowers, candles, and handwritten notes became symbols of love and remembrance. The road to healing would be long, but St. Helena's spirit of unity endured. People came together, determined not to let tragedy define them, but to find hope in each other. Together, they began to mourn and seek comfort, finding strength in unity and the bonds that held their community together. With the scene secured, the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office launched a full-scale investigation. Hundreds of witnesses and a sprawling crime scene made the task daunting. Sheriff P.J. Tanner addressed the public, urging patience and promising a thorough search for justice. Investigators appealed directly to the community for help, asking anyone with information to come forward. Master Sergeant Duncan was named as the primary contact, and anonymous tips were encouraged through Crime Stoppers and other channels. Community cooperation was vital. Solving this tragedy would require everyone's help. Authorities stressed the importance of even the smallest details. The search for justice had begun, and every tip mattered. The community's partnership with law enforcement was now more important than ever. Community leaders and officials voiced their grief and resolve. Representative Nancy Mace expressed heartbreak for the victims and urged public cooperation. The Penn Center called for unity and action to address the root causes of violence. Willie, the bar's owner, shared his devastation, describing the chaos and loss he witnessed. The sheriff's office acknowledged the community's pain and promised relentless pursuit of justice. These voices, leaders, witnesses, and law enforcement, wove a narrative of shared sorrow and determination. The tragedy united the community in grief, but also in a commitment to healing. St. Helena's resolve was clear. They would not let violence define them. The shooting left deep scars on St. Helena Island. The sense of safety was shattered, replaced by fear and anxiety. Families of the victims faced unimaginable loss, their lives forever changed. Survivors carried both physical and emotional wounds, struggling with trauma and memories of that night. Willie's Bar and Grill, once a symbol of community, became a painful reminder of tragedy. Battery Creek High School's legacy was now marked by sorrow. The entire island felt the weight of collective grief. Healing would take time, but the scars would remain. St. Helena's story had been changed forever. In the aftermath, St. Helena's greatest strength, unity, came to the forefront. Neighbors supported each other, faith groups organized vigils, and the community gathered to mourn and heal. The tragedy sparked urgent conversations about preventing future violence. Leaders called for action, urging everyone to address the root causes and foster a culture of peace. Honoring the victims meant more than mourning. It meant building a safer, more compassionate community. Memorials and support for grieving families became acts of remembrance and hope. The journey forward would be difficult, but resilience and solidarity would guide the way. St. Helena's history of overcoming adversity would help them heal. Together, they would find hope in unity. As the investigation continues, every voice matters in the search for justice. The sheriff's office urges anyone with information to come forward. No detail is too small. Anonymous tips are welcomed through Crime Stoppers and other secure channels. The tragedy has tested St. Helena's spirit, but not broken it. First responders, medical teams, and neighbors have shown the community's true character. Hope is found in compassion, courage, and the determination to prevent future violence. The path forward is lit by unity and resilience. Let this tragedy inspire kindness, vigilance, and deeper connections. The memory of those lost compels the community to build a safer future. If you know something, say something. Together, St. Helena can heal.